Okay, you are live.
All right, thank you, Luann. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, May 17th, 2021 at 4:34 p.m. and I will call the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting to order. First, we'll have Luann read Governor Baker's order regarding the video meetings.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Freetown Board of Selectmen will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. A recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings will be posted to the town's YouTube channel and/or the Town of Freetown website, www.freetownma.gov.
All right, thank you, Luann.
You're welcome.
All right, so first on the agenda today, we have Attorney Pucci joining us. He's going to help explain and discuss how the procedures will be going forward for the remand hearing for the Excel's license renewal application. So I guess with that, George, I kick it over to you and kind of explain how the next couple meetings are going to go and what everyone should expect.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. This is George Pucci from Freetown Town Council's office, KP Law. You are commencing a remand hearing on Excel's application for renewal of its junk dealer's license. And the way that this matter came back to you is a couple of years ago, Excel applied for renewal of their junk dealer's license. The previous Board of Selectmen, with 2 members voting and 1 recused, had denied renewal of the license. Excel appealed that denial decision to Superior Court. The Superior Court overruled the board's decision and ordered the board to issue the junk dealer's license. The board voted to appeal that ruling to the Massachusetts Appeals Court, and the Massachusetts Appeals Court heard the case, and they found that the Superior Court judge was correct in that the board had relied on matters outside of the record in basing its decision on the license renewal. But the appeals court also held that there was enough evidence in the record that they did not want to just simply uphold the Superior Court decision overturning the board's decision, but they ordered that the case be remanded to the Board of Selectmen to rehear the license renewal application, basically. So that's how the case is procedurally back before you. The appeals court sent it back to the Superior Court with an order that the Superior Court remand the application renewal to the board for hearing. And you're now about to go forward with that hearing. It will be important this time around to make sure that the board does not refer to any matters that were outside the record or that Excel didn't have a opportunity to respond to. That was the basis for the court overruling the prior board's decision. And the other thing is, there's been a passage of time, and there are new circumstances from when the renewal was originally heard. So what I would recommend is basically none of the members of the board who are here now acted on the prior application. So I think it would make sense to just open up a new record, conduct the hearing again, hear it on evidence as to current conditions, and then from there close the hearing and deliberate and vote on the license renewal. So the board had talked to me about a possible schedule for this. So following tonight, And tonight was just to, advise both Excel and the public as to, the fact that the board was going to go forward with this remand hearing. So you had talked about a hearing date of May 24 at 4:30 p.m. And at that time, you'll hear first from Excel as to the grounds by which Excel seeks to have its junk dealer's license renewed. And these licenses run from year to year. And then that first hearing date, you'll hear first from Excel, and then you'll hear from anybody wishing to speak either in support of or in opposition to that renewal request on the 24th. I would also recommend, accepting any written submissions. I don't know when the board normally accepts those in connection with a meeting, but perhaps by May 21, submissions for that first meeting. Then after that initial session on May 24, you have a placeholder for a further hearing session on June 3 at 5 p.m. And that session would be for rebuttal only, not to repeat arguments previously made, but to rebut for any party to, if they wanted to try to rebut something that somebody else said at the initial hearing, they would have the opportunity to do that on June 3. And I would also recommend on June 3 that you close the documentary evidence. Anybody who wants to submit something in writing, maybe have a deadline, of June 2 to submit anything that they want as part of the record of proceedings before you close the hearing and deliberate and vote. Have a deadline prior to June 3. And to correct the error that happened last time, if you intend to talk about any of these, anything that's submitted or use that as a basis for your decision in this case, make sure that Excel knows, the universe of the record of proceedings that's before you, so that there's no argument that, they didn't have a chance to respond to something. So what I'd recommend again for that would be to just have a deadline by which written submissions will be made to the board as part of the record of proceedings on this. And after that date, there will be no further submissions accepted. So on June 3, when you hear rebuttal, specify the completion of the documentary records submitted, if anything, by that date, and then close the hearing that night. And then you've also got a placeholder for deliberations and a vote following the close of the hearing, and this would be on June 14. So that's sort of the schedule for this remand hearing that you've discussed with me and you put on the agenda tonight to advise anybody interested in participating in this process.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Attorney Pucci. So one thing I just want to make sure everyone's clear about, and this is totally separate from the land court issue we have. I know, George, you explained that to us, but maybe you just want to say a couple words about how two separate issues.
Sure. There's a pending land court case which involves an appeal by Excel of a cease and desist order issued by your building commissioner. And that's where the current building commissioner disagreed with the conclusion of the prior building commissioner and ordered that Excel requires that the town requires a special permit for this operation. That case is pending in the land court, and it has nothing to do with the licensing issue. It's a separate issue entirely and totally separate proceeding. So that has no relation to this remand hearing that you're doing pursuant to the Superior Court and Appeals Court order.
Great, thank you. Peter?
Trevor, two questions for George. Just one is first as a reminder that the 5/24 and the 6/3 meetings will be live at the auditorium in the elementary school. It'll be in person. And you had on 6/3 maybe closing the submissions by 6/2, but wouldn't it be easier to have the submissions for documents closed 6/3 in case someone brings something to that hearing, some paperwork? Is that okay?
The only problem with that, Peter, is, you know, I'm one of the big goals of this is to make sure that there's no, you want to make sure that however the board decides this, that it doesn't end up getting, you know, overturned again.
Yeah.
So the only problem with that would be if something is submitted in writing on the 3rd,
Yeah.
and then the board goes ahead and closes the hearing, and then they include,
Okay.
you know, deliberation on that extra material. After that, that may call into question again that, well, you didn't give me a chance to respond to that. That was submitted on the 3rd, then you closed the hearing. So maybe,
So by 6/2 then, okay. 6/2 what, by like 2 PM, something like that?
yes, I think that makes sense. Yep.
And this way, if we have any documents that come in, we can make copies and give them to anyone who requests them.
Right. You wouldn't, a lot is done electronically now. So, you know, hopefully you know, if anyone wanted to see what was submitted, you could just make electronic access to it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I do not have any other questions. George Grunwald, do you have any other questions? Or
No,
I'm not sure if anyone that's joining us outside of the people who've spoken so far are for this or for other issues. We have, you know, other agenda items. Do you know, Luann or Peter?
No, I would just open it. If anyone wants to comment, they can comment now on, just on the Excel. Just on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, does anyone have any comments or questions?
And they would wave their hand to
Yep.
Luann.
Use the raise hand feature or unmute yourself, put something in chat. Your choice.
I would just give it a couple, I'll give it a minute.
Yeah, sometimes it can be tricky to figure out where the right button is.
Yeah,
Exactly. And also too, if you do have an alias on the screen, be sure to identify your proper name for us.
you don't.
I
think-
should note too, I don't see anybody from Excel here on the screen.
And I'm not sure who the call-in user is.
Yeah, I don't see any of the attorneys' names. You know, hopefully they realize that you're starting this on May 24.
Yeah, we should probably communicate that to them formally somehow.
Yeah, I'll notify their attorneys.
Okay, yeah, George, perfect. Yeah, just make sure that, you know, and if that date, that is an interesting point too, right? Because if that date doesn't work for them, you know, it's going to be a little difficult, but I'm assuming they want to get this moving just like, you know, we do. So,
Right.
I don't see anything in chat or any hands raised.
okay. All right. Well then, Attorney Pucci, thank you very much for your time and appreciate explaining how this will go forward. And I'll see you next Monday.
Great. Thanks very much. Good night.
Have a good night.
right.
So I think we should probably move on to agenda item 4. Does that make sense? This is a
Sure.
discussion on the Green Community Grant from SERP. So it looks like we have some guests here to discuss this.
I'm not sure if they are on yet. Is Eric or Lisa on, or anyone regarding the Green Communities Grant? I think they were coming on closer to 5.
Okay.
Why are we skipping 3?
Just because I was trying to get, if people are here, our guests are here.
Oh, okay.
Let's just,
Tim Sales is here. If you want to do number 5.
well, let's just go through the order, 2, 3, and when they come on at 5, we can skip back to 4.
Okay, that works for me.
Let's just go through order.
All right, so next we have the approval of the minutes from 5:10. So I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion made.
I'll second that. I should mention, by the way, that Jared's going to be late today. But yeah, so I'll second that. Any discussion? Nope. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Grunwald,
Yes.
Selectman Matthews.
Yes. So now we have to approve the municipal solid waste and recycling contract between Town of Freetown and Borges Brothers.
I'd like to have a little discussion on that if we could.
Yes.
There's a little bit of opposition to that because we're spending an extra, I think it's 350,000, give or take, dollars on this.
It's about
232.
230. Yep.
Yeah, 232
232.
and change. but-
Over the 3 years of the contract.
Correct.
Yeah. You know, I did hear what you said about trying to keep businesses in town. And I don't really have any objections to that. But when it costs the taxpayers money, I think that's a problem. You know, you're asking our taxpayers to foot the bill to a company because they're local.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's problematic. And I mean, you wouldn't go shopping in a store in town that was more expensive than a store over the Fall River line. You know,
I mean, so I guess I have two things in that, George. These are very valid points, but one is part of it is I definitely do. When we have an opportunity to support local businesses, and I'm a decision maker, and we can make. I do. That is part of it. The other part is, quite honestly, I got a lot of complaints. You know, whoever could grab me and talk to me for a minute, they'd always complain about Republic in one way or another. And you know, we don't have many options here. I thought this is something I think that it's one of the only kind of services in town that touches almost every single taxpayer, right? Like everyone gets their trash picked up. And so, you know, if Republic was not fulfilling that kind of customer service need, and a lot of people are complaining about it, I thought it was time to try something else. So that's kind of another where I was coming from.
I mean, that's a valid point. I wish you had made that point at the last meeting, rather than saying you were doing this because they're a local business. And that's the message that's out there.
Yep.
If there is a service issue, I mean, I would say possibly put a clause in there that the service has to be improved. Although from everything I've seen, the service was fine. I know you say you had some complaints, but I don't know if we have documentation on that, how many times, where, what specifically. We should have addressed that as an issue. But since we sent this out to bid, and you know, that's a lot of money, I really have a problem to do this just because they're an in-town business.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, we did have a meeting. We do have documented complaints, and we did have one meeting since I've been here for only 3 months with Republic on some of the back end issues. We had some front end issues, but the back end issues, we definitely had complaints and we addressed them with the Republic.
And they were taken care of.
For the last
Peter?
month, yes. It's only been a month, so yes.
Well, since we addressed it, I mean,
Right, there were significant issues. I mean, they put our contract in jeopardy with Crapo Hill, so, but yeah, we addressed it, and I believe they've changed their methodology and what they were doing.
okay.
I mean, yeah, part of the problem was from what I saw just personally is that they were picking up using the automatic machine, even though they told us multiple times that they don't use those. I saw it with my own eyes, them using those and picking up whatever trash is in the barrel, not the stuff that's in the green bags. Right. That was an issue I saw. And I know a lot of people would just, you know, and this is all, you know, just personal experience, but people like weren't even buying the green bags anymore because they found out that Republic didn't care if green bags or not. So they're just picking it up anyways. So, but that's one side of it. I'm sure a lot of those people don't mind if they didn't want to have to buy the green bags in the first place. But just generally, you know, I've just got a lot of complaints about all sorts of different things. So I mean, we can table this for now. You know, it looks like we're gonna have a split on this anyways, right?
Yeah,
So, you know, when Jared gets here, we can vote on this if that works for you.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. No, but I hear your opinion, and one thing to know is that, you know, to be funded, this has to go to town meeting. So I think that the townspeople will have the opportunity to whether they want to fund this new contract or not. And then we'll get a real sense of where people stand. And if they don't want to fund it because it's right, there's an additional cost. If they don't want to fund it, well, then townspeople will speak, and then, you know, the chips will where they lie.
Fair enough.
All right. So we'll table that. Now it looks like Lisa Sullivan has joined us. Hello, welcome. So next is a discussion on the Green Communities Grant from SERP. Lisa?
Hi, how are you? Is Eric, are you on yet? I don't know if Eric's. I don't know. I'm not sure if Eric is here. Eric is from SERP. I'm from DOER. I work for the Department of Energy Resources. I'm your Green Communities Program Coordinator. So I serve the whole Southeast. I have 85 towns. I know I've done a couple presentations in Freetown. I met your new town administrator, Peter, and we have a regional energy planning assistance grant, which you currently have in place with SERP right now. And what that allows is for DOER to provide free technical assistance to the community should you want to try to achieve designation. So we would pay for up to $7,500 for SERP to help you write your energy reduction plan and help you, pull together your vehicle inventory. So that's what we wanted to touch base with you, because the program opportunity notice has been posted again on Combis, and you'll have to do an MOU with SERP to continue that assistance being available to you. If you don't decide to go to become a green community, there's no penalty. Or if you aren't successful in your attempt to become a green community, there's no penalty. So
Perfect. So you mentioned there's $7,500 in assistance that will be, provided. Do you know what the average cost in total usually is for the application and for the process?
So Eric Arbini's joined us, and hi Eric. We just started.
Apologies if I'm late. It said 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I think we moved a little quicker than expected.
Okay.
So apologies.
Always good. It's a beautiful night. So usually towns use the majority of the funding, the majority of the $7,500. What it is you would sign an MOU with SERP. You already have one in place. You haven't taken advantage of it, but you need to put a new one in place for the next 2 years. And you'd have up to $7,500 of what's remaining of that amount for Eric to help you become a green community should you wish to go down that road.
Yeah, it seems like there's not really any downside here, right?
Right. You had one for the last 2 years. You just haven't gotten there yet. You've had some shifting in staff, as you know, and so we just decided we're waiting for you, but this just puts this in place should you decide you're ready and want to move forward.
All right. That's great. George, or I think Jared Ziger, other selectman, just joined us. Do you guys have any questions on this? Or, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
No, I agree with you. It is a no-brainer. We should go ahead with this.
All right. Peter, is there any kind of thing we have to vote on here, or can we just, now let's just go forward with this and speak to Eric and off meeting and see what we have to do? You're on mute, by the way, Peter.
I'm sorry. I think we just need to draft the MOU and probably pretty much copy the one we had before and bring it to the board. You'll approve it, then we'll go forward.
All right.
Peter, I can draft the MOU for you. I'm going to be doing this for like 16 or 17 different towns that we help out with this. So I'm going to be drafting that in the next week and I can send it along to you. So the application or the new MOU, we don't need to send it until July 9th. So, we don't want to wait till then, but in the next week or two, I'll have something over for you and you folks can sign it and we'll sign it and it'll be all straightforward.
Very helpful. Thank you.
And one quick question. So this would, for us, say we want to go forward, with becoming a green community, that does have to go to town meeting, right, to get voted on?
The stretch code, you'd have to adopt the stretch code, and that has to go to town meeting. I believe you have zoning. I think you have solar zoning that qualifies for renewable energy generation. And you may even have manufacturing and R&D by right as well. I have to revisit that. But yes, you would have to bring the stretch code to town meeting. And I would come and I would bring a code expert, and we'd do public information sessions to make sure that the town feels comfortable, that your building inspector is comfortable, and to answer any questions. We could do them via Zoom or in person. We'll provide that support.
Great. And if I remember correctly from the last presentation, I think I saw you give us, the stretch code and the normal code are really getting pretty narrow, right?
Yeah.
They're very similar. Now, I need to tell you that the base code's going to change. Base code changes every 3 years, and they change stretch code to be a little bit of a stretch beyond the base code. So it will change, but because of COVID, any building code changes are behind. Right now, I think they're saying that they're hoping to roll out new changes in January of 2023. And just so you know, there's a public process around that. So it's, done through the building of regulations and standards, and they have building inspectors involved. So it's not something that DOER comes up with on their own. So.
All right. Interesting. Any questions for anybody? Oh, all right.
Good.
Well, thank you guys very much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
My internet is unstable.
I got one of those today too. So if anytime you need a refresher on green communities, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll come in at any time, either in a small group or to the board of selectmen.
And I'll be
That'd be
reaching
great.
out after we execute the MOU and it goes to the state, and we can come in and kind of hit the ground running as to what I've helped 15 or 16 different towns throughout the region. So we're pretty comfortable doing it, and answer any questions they might have.
All right. Sounds good, Eric. Thank you very much. Appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks
You
for
as well.
having us.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Bye-bye. Okay. So now, shall we move on to discussion and approval of the
Wanna go
municipal
back to
budget
number
for
3?
2022? Yeah, either way.
Whichever.
So Jared, I'll go back to number 3 real quick, just to get this one done with. So Jared, you missed it. George and I disagree on, the approval of municipal waste and recycling contract with Freetown and Borges. One just kind of only thing you missed is that I mentioned that George made his points on, it's more expensive and, is it really worth it? I think from the last meeting, where I stand on that. One thing I did know is that this has to be funded by the town, so it's going to go to town meeting anyways for the money to be, applied to that. So the town will have a say in this. Just want to make that clear. But with that being said, I guess I will entertain a motion to approve the municipal solid waste contract, solid waste and recycling contract between the town of Freetown and Borges Brothers.
I will make that motion.
I don't think George, I'll second it. Any additional discussion?
Just 2 quick notes. Town attorney made 2 small adjustments to the contract. I incorporated his request. Board just was okay with them.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Zager,
Yes.
Selectman Grunwald,
No,
Selectman Matthews.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on for the third potential time, but actual time, to line item or agenda item 5. So discussion and approval of the municipal budget. So I think that, do we have Kim Fales here to discuss? Kim, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
All right. So I'm trying to get to the. All right, so how are we gonna do this? Sorry, guys. Trying to get the budget here in the proper direction so I can actually read it.
Kim worked the numbers, so maybe she can give a brief highlight on where we are on the miss budget.
Sure. Based on the last joint meeting, all of the updates have been made. And one thing that brought up would be the board voting a 2% COLA for the bylaw employees. So the budget that you have incorporates that 2% increase, if that is something that you want to undertake. And then there are a couple of other areas that I think you might want to consider not recommending the department request. So I'm not sure if you want to kind of go through those specific areas or you want to start with the COLA issue first.
Yeah, I guess I think we have to talk about all of it. Whatever you want to start with first, Kim, works for me.
Okay, let's start with the COLA. When the previous board was here, we started putting the budget together. The rule of thumb or the marching orders I got was to inform everyone to have a 2% COLA for the bylaw employees. And when I go into contract negotiations, it's a little bit different. I know Kim puts away a certain amount of money based on the marching orders we received at that time. I believe one employee has put more than 2%. My recommendation would be to apply the 2% because that's what the board more or less said. And if you want to go through the process of reviewing salaries for folks or wages, do that during the summer, and then at the fall town meeting, make any adjustments you want to at that time. But it was just kind of the marching orders we had. It's kind of the direction we received and we gave everybody. So I think it was a bit unfair to have one person put in where everyone else kind of held the line just on the directions that we gave. That's all.
No. Yeah, that makes sense to me. But we have to make sure we actually do, I agree with that as long as we do actually look at, the salaries and make the necessary adjustments. I don't want to just, I want everyone to,
Right.
we're not just saying this now and not following through with it. So that's important to me.
I think starting in June or July, we can start setting up the reviews and start looking at the salary comparisons. So I think you should do that once we get town meeting done and what have you. Yeah.
Okay. And so now, just my first time doing this, I'm pretty sure. So how do we, if we want to recommend or not recommend something, how do we do that on a, line by line item? How does that all work?
I'm going to Kim explain how they do it here.
Okay, well, we can certainly do an overall recommendation to give a 2% to all bylaw employees. Part of the email that I had sent was that there are some concerns about that blanket statement because we do have some employees that are not part of the bylaw. For example, the positions for the clerks, the zoning, soil clerical, the inspectors for building, for the part-time building person, the gas, plumbing, and electrical inspector, and the public health nurse. So just be aware that those folks are not included in the decision to just do bylaw. And in addition, there are some bylaw employees that are currently following the minimum wage schedule. So typically you may not give a COLA on that since the minimum wage has a history of increasing every January. So if you wanted to do it line by line to department by department to determine which employees under the bylaw you want to go with, or again, you can just make that blanket statement. It just, it just creates a little more of an issue for the folks that are minimum wage and the folks that aren't included in the bylaw.
Yeah.
We did make one adjustment to the public nurse. I believe she went up $1. I think we had a meeting with her, George and I did a while back, and the recommendation was for her was about, it's almost 2%, was to raise her from $35 to $36 an hour.
And that is effective when I don't
It
have.
would be July 1st.
Oh, July 1st. And, okay, was there going to be any budget increase for that? Because there isn't one reflected.
We would, yeah.
Okay, so do we want to add $480 to the request?
We
for
would.
health?
I know we have, I know you put money aside looking at COLAs and adjustments for folks. I believe that we have a reserve for that in the planning, budget planning. And that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know what the board's belief on the folks that are earning minimum wage. And if they want to, because they did just go up minimum wage. It went from $12.75 to $13.50, if I remember right, this last year. So you may, that's more than 2%. So you may want to keep them at the minimum wage, the new minimum wage that's effective.
I mean, how many people does that honestly affect? Is it a lot of people, Kim? I know you're not gonna know that off the top of your head, but
No. So the people that are already paid under minimum wage, you mean?
yes.
Okay. So those folks would be the election workers. They are basic minimum wage, and then there are some additions to that. The registrars and the cemetery workers, and possibly the conservation laborers, because they haven't been hired yet, and I'm not sure if they're going to be hired at minimum wage or not. So again, there's quite a few election workers. There's 3 registrars, 1 cemetery worker, and then possibly 2 conservation folks.
And the 2 folks from the boat ramp too.
Okay, but those folks are not part of the general fund budget.
Okay.
Because they're paid out of a revolving fund.
Okay.
Mhm. All right, so I'm not exactly sure what the best, how to go forward here. So
I would just request a motion to those folks that she listed maintain at the new minimum wage that just went up.
okay. So now that covers, so that we have the bylaw employees, we'll do the 2% COLA for them. Minimum wage, stay at the state minimum wage. And then there's other folks who were, right, that you mentioned, Kim, who are also in between.
Yeah, so the in-between folks are the parking clerks that get an annual stipend, the finance committee clerk, which unfortunately that is vacant at the moment. The zoning clerical person, the soil board person, economic development is vacant. The part-time temporary building inspector, and then the gas, plumbing, electrical inspectors, they're all at $35 per hour. And then there's an assistant animal control officer. I don't think we actually have someone in that position, but that position does exist. And then I guess the public health nurse has been suggested to go to 36. I'm not sure if you want to do 36 for the other inspectors or what.
I don't know, honestly, without any kind of, other information on that. But
again, you can also address this in the fall if you wish, as part of a total comprehensive compensation article.
yeah, that makes sense to me.
That would be my recommendation too.
So could I make a motion to, just, and this is a quite hypothetical here, So for the budget purposes, 2% to all the bylaw employees, I guess, keep all the other employees the same, except for those who are minimum wage, and they will be at the current minimum wage.
And the public nurse to 36.
And the public nurse to 36. So I'll entertain that motion.
I'll
Motion
make
made.
that motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye,
Selectman Zager?
yes.
Selectman Grunwald?
yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. Glenn, you sound like you're in a submarine of some sort.
My I don't know if it's my internet or what, but it's definitely a little funky today.
I think it's everybody's. I know town hall's definitely been having issues. I've been having issues at my house, which wouldn't surprise me if you're having issues at your house. So. Okay. So now, Kim, next, other things we have to talk about here.
So I just made a list of a couple of things that you might want to consider. I think overall, for the most part, a recommendation for the departmental request seems very reasonable. However, within the town clerk budget, the town clerk is an elected official. She is requesting an annual salary of $65,000. The previous town clerk salary was $58,370. So you're looking at a $6,600 increase, which comes out to an 11.4% increase. That is very significant compared to, say, a COLA, or again, I'm not sure what you might be negotiating in terms of collective bargaining agreements, but that's a significant increase. So I'm not sure that the board would be wanting to recommend that amount as an increase.
Yeah, I guess my personal views on that, I think that I think that maybe the previous town clerk wasn't getting as much money as, you know, actually, I shouldn't say that. I'd like to look at a study to, you know, to see what other town clerks get. I know it's different for every town and some, but I'd like to see where we line up between other towns. For me, I know it's a really important job. The amount of money she's requesting doesn't seem astronomical to me personally, but I'd like to hear, you know, the rest of the board's view on that is.
I agree with you on that, Trevor.
And me as well. She's obviously a good, hardworking employee who we want to keep. And, you know, you know, they have a lot that goes on through that office. So especially if they're going to make that in other towns, there's no reason why we shouldn't be paying an equivalent salary. So,
I mean, and it's an elected position, right? So it's,
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean,
For the level of responsibility, that seems to be quite a bit underpaid.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Your job security is never really there because you're only one election away. You know, so I understand. I think you pay a little premium for that kind of, you know, uncertainty.
Mhm.
Oh, Peter,
Yes, sir.
she doesn't have to run every cycle, does she? I don't remember that being the case.
I don't know the term. I think she does in next time.
It was different for
She
Jackie.
has to
It's after a certain amount of years, right?
Yeah,
Is that like, so if I think she has to for the first couple cycles, and then there's some sort of law that she doesn't have to run every.
I mean, Jackie only ran once that I remember.
yeah. I don't think her request is unreasonable for the position and for the work that's required for it, so.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to recommend the town clerk salary increase.
I'll make that motion.
For how much?
So it's a $6,800 increase.
Okay. Second the motion.
All right. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
No, just to make sure, Kim, it's 65,000 base, correct?
65,000 is the annual request. It's an increase of $6,630 over the
Thank you.
previous.
Now, do we still want to do a survey to make sure that she's in the right band?
I mean, I think we should do probably a survey for everybody, and we can definitely include that in that.
We can.
So it's something I want to do, anyways. So,
We can.
Yeah, I agree with that idea. We need to see if there's anything that's fallen through the cracks along the way and someone's severely underpaid or severely overpaid for that matter, which I have a hard time believing, but kind of see where everything lies.
yep. All right. I don't think we finished that voting on that though. So, so all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Selectman Zager?
yes,
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
That might be because you and Peter are in the same vicinity.
Yes,
It's
it's
echoing
because
like
Lola's
that.
next to me.
Oh, okay,
It's Lola, not Peter. Yeah.
okay. All right. So that takes care of just the town clerk, but then now there's other departmental requests. Correct?
Yeah, correct. So the next issue that you may want to consider, and it ties in with that 2% bylaw COLA, the building commissioner did ask for $75,000 for the annual salary, which is $5,000 more than the previous year, which would be a 7.1% increase. So it sounds like you would like to reduce the recommendation by 5,000, but then add the amount for the COLA. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to see what Jared and George think about this. I know, Peter, I know your view on this.
I'd like to see a survey to see where we are and then discuss it at next meeting or whenever we have the survey.
All right. So what George, just to make sure we're on the same page, and what I think Kim's asking is, so we won't recommend the $5,000 increase. We will recommend a 2% COLA increase to his salary. And then this will be a part of the general kind of negotiations or discussions we have about salaries in the fall.
yeah, I think to your point was if it was in July, if by that point we come up with everything to see where everyone lies, right? Then we'll be a little more educated to how we compare to existing surrounding town, right? And not just, yeah,
Right.
I like that idea.
I suspect the survey will be July and August because a lot of towns are just because the start of the new year.
Mhm.
So by the end of August, you'll have a pretty good picture of other positions that you chose to look at. We'll look at. Like I said before, we kind of gave marching orders for everyone to be at 2%. That's what everyone put in. We had the one outlier. I don't think it's fair to everybody else. We did that. So
And so now, to procedural kind of question, do we have to vote on vote on that, or is the fact that we just voted on 2% for all the bylaw employees cover that?
I think that covers the 2% piece, but if you wanted to vote to reduce to make your recommendation less by $5,000 less than what was requested by the department.
All right. So sorry, go.
We have to vote on his request. Is that what Kim said?
Yes.
This is the Board of Selectmen's recommendation for the budget. So the request was for 75. I think folks have decided that you want to look at it further. So recommendation would be to recommend 70,000 plus a 2% COLA, which would be $1,400. So basically, you're looking to do a reduction of $3,600 to the building department overall budget.
All right. So yeah. So we will entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion to reduce the building department's budget by $3,600. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
and it reflects in the salary line item for that position.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. Building department budget by $3,600. Whoa. I can hear myself talk. It's weird. I don't want to do that again. Okay. So,
Next one, Kim.
Selectman Grunwald.
What is the question? I'm sorry.
No,
no,
I think Kim was going to go to the next spot, but someone's replaying.
yeah. Can we make sure everyone's who's not speaking is muted?
Actually, I just want to open it at this point if you folks had any other concerns or questions about the departmental requests. Otherwise, you can certainly recommend the amounts that have been requested.
Yeah, I don't think there's any surprise. We went over most of this with the budget meetings, correct? I mean, I think
Correct.
these are kind of the only outstanding items. So I will entertain a motion to, oh, actually, sorry, let me stop there. George or Jared, do you have any other questions related to this in the budget?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to recommend the remaining items on the budget for the fiscal year 2022 budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right, that was a tough one. Kim, thank you for guiding me through that.
You're the best, Kim.
All right. Do we have anything else for Kim or I think she's gone. All right, great. Okay, so now we move on to Board of Health. So that is you, Jared.
It is. All right, so I'm not sure, is Jeff on? Because we have two things for the agenda item number 6, discussion of blight sites and bylaw violations.
He's not on the meeting. There wasn't anything new. It was more of a discussion. I think what you folks were going to have was on what Carlton's recommendations were for that email that was in your packet
Yep.
on pages 35 to 36.
Yep.
My opinion on this is that we should adopt Carlton's overall recommendations. That'll make our police department responsible for notifying us of what is going on, and then we would act. And if you read his letter, I won't go through the whole process. I mean, it's a good process, and unless you have something better, I think we should adopt it.
I couldn't agree with you more, George. Obviously, he's a man who's in the know, and you know, I'm completely okay with his recommendations.
Okay.
All right, so I guess Jared, you want to? I think you'll have to. I guess I can do it. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the recommendations of the chief as regarding the bylaw violations.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and then I have agenda number 7. Agenda item number 7. Wow. Discussion of Juneteenth as a town employee paid holiday. Not really sure what we need to discuss about that. I thought that was already agreed upon, that was going to become a.
It's more an awareness to make the board aware and folks aware that the state has approved another state holiday, Juneteenth, June 19th, and making folks aware that there will be now a holiday. It will affect folks unionized and non-unionized, and public safety as they treat their holidays within their agreements.
And this is approved by the state, you said, Peter, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's
It's a
a
state
holiday.
Yeah.
Can I ask maybe a dumb question? But so if it falls on a weekend for like town employees, do they get like 4th of July, for example? Like,
Saturday goes to the Friday and Sunday goes to the Monday.
okay, that's what I figured.
Unless there's some oddity in there, but that's how it usually goes.
Gotcha.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second that.
State holiday,
Did you
so to
vote?
be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of,
Yeah,
I don't know if we have to, do we have to do a motion here? But yeah,
we don't have to, because we just have to follow.
yeah, I think we're good.
Okay,
All right, so I think Jared's done. I think now we move on to personnel board. So George, the floor is yours.
oh, thank you. Number 8 on here. We're acknowledging the resignation of Victoria Dantini. Anthony, any discussion on that?
Nope.
No. We don't have to vote on these, I don't believe, do we?
Not on the resignations, no.
Okay. We want to appoint Brian Almeida to Open Space and Recreation Advisory Committee, effective 5/17/2021. Someone want to make a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Selectman Zager?
yes,
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
Okay, number 10, appoint C. Nils McKay as SERP Commission member, effective 5/21/21. Okay, any discussion?
2022.
Yes, sorry about that. Okay, any discussion?
Nope.
Anyone want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Selectman Zager?
yes,
Selectman Grunwald?
Aye, yes,
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
okay. Number 11, appoint Peter Jakovsky, designee for SERP Joint Transportation Planning Group, effective 6/1/21 through 6/1/22. Entertain a motion to accept.
Grant that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Unless someone else really wants it, by all means, I don't need to go.
All you, Peter.
It's-
All you.
Mhm.
Selectman Zager?
yes,
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
Okay. Number 12, appoint Sandra Martins as part-time COA/Care Act clerk at a pay rate of $15.30 an hour, effective 5/17/2021. Entertain a motion to accept.
Motion made.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Selectman Zager?
yes,
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
Okay. Number 13. We want to discuss and clarify the language on the memorandum of agreement dated 6/3/19 between Town of Freetown and Public Employees Union Local 1144 for Leona Clerical and Library Clause 4. I'm not sure what that is.
No, this is me. I actually had a request from the Clerk and Library Union. It really kind of affects two people, and to be honest with you, it'll affect another person next year as we look at. Right now, if someone gets appointed step 1, they go to, after a year, they go to step 2. After step 2, they go for 1 year, they go to step 3. After step 3, 2 years, they go to step 5. And after step 4, excuse me, then after 5 years, they go to step 5. But sometimes, depending on qualifications, depending on experience or other motivational factors, the board will appoint someone not at step 1 and it will appoint it to step 3, right? So for clarification, if someone gets appointed to step 3, the natural progression to step 4 would be 2 years. That's my understanding of the contract. That's my reading of the contracts. And to be honest with you, all the towns I've served, and that's how we've read those contracts. There has been some discussion that if someone gets appointed to step 3, they would have to wait 5 years to go to step 4, which is, I do not believe the spirit and intent of the agreements,
Yeah.
but there is, internally, there has been a discussion about, by some folks saying that's how it's got to go. So I'm just asking for clarification from the board that regarding union language, I just happen to pick this one because it's happening right now, that if someone comes to a mid-grade step, they just have to follow the normal progression, whether it be 2 or 3 years to the next step. And that's all I want that understanding to be, because it solves some issues that we're having internally on how those contracts are being read.
Yeah, so to your point, Peter, is if there's a 1 year, if they get hired on step 3 into the next step, there's a 1 year gap. They should be able to go to that next one after 1 year, not wait the 4 years or whatever it would be for the
Right.
normal progression.
In this case, it's step 3 to step 4, which is a 2-year wait. But people have read it to mean it's a 5-year wait. That's not my understanding. It's a 2-year wait. That's the normal progression.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm on board with that.
Yeah. I mean,
Right then.
that's what the town agreed to, and it's
Yeah.
it's just the traditional way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
All right.
I think I'll entertain a motion to go along with Peter's interpretation, which is if you start at whatever step 3 or 4, you annually go up to the next step.
Well,
You don't
you wait
have-
the whatever the annual number of years is, because by then it's 2 or 5 years. Yeah, but yes, George. Correct.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Okay,
second
just
it.
to be really clear. Okay, we're clear on what this means, right? So
Yes.
no more discussion. All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 I
Thank
don't
you.
know if we want to say what that motion is. Again, I'm a bit confused on what it was. So it might be good to state.
You know, what if we do this? Just to throw an idea. Why don't we kind of write up a very
There's
clear?
a memo in your package explaining it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
So if we could just follow what the memo says,
Yep.
which is what I said, and it's what's requested by the union, I think that clarifies it.
Right, so the motion basically will be to approve the language that's in our package.
Right, it says, regardless of the step an employee starts on, they must wait the appropriate number of years to move to the additional step. So in the beginning, it's usually 1 year because people are coming off probation, that experience. Once you hit that mid-grade, it goes to 2 years. Then the last one is 5 years. And why this is important, because I also know a couple of the unions are asking for a couple of different steps in there. So this would impact those negotiations. Not bad, it just clarifies it.
I guess
We just follow the memo, which is what we.
my only issue with it would be is that what if someone already has the years?
You have to have years in the step. So if you could have 15 years for the town, and for whatever reason, for example, there was a person who's been with the town for like 3 or 4 years. They were at step 1, went to step 2, then they changed positions and they got moved to a mid-grade step because of their experience and understanding of the position. That person shouldn't be able to wait 5 years. They should just do the 2 years to the next step.
Yeah, okay. So long as it's, I just wanted to clarify that because I always want to make sure that in this case, it's in the employee's favor because
It is.
they're qualified, right? So we want to make
Right.
sure that we're doing what we can to keep those qualified individuals happy.
Right, and that's why you're hiring at a mid-grade or mid.
Exactly. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I think it's very
I
much.
got it, but I just wanted to clarify.
Very much in the employee's position, and I support it too. That's just normal understanding how these things work, at least in my experience.
Yep. Very good.
So are we good on this, or we need to take another vote? Take a vote?
I think take a vote now that you've clarified it. That way
Okay.
it makes Luann
All
happy.
right. So somebody want to make a motion?
So yeah, so how about this? I'll make a motion to accept the language as stated in the memo in the packet. regarding
5/11.
the dated 5/11 regarding the steps for the I'm losing it here, guys.
Administrative and
Yeah,
library
clerk and library
union.
union contracts.
I'll second that.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. On that note, I think are we all set here?
No
Yes.
changes in the old business. So, yeah.
No. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Nope. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Grunwald?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.